So with the ending of heterosis breeding, we will now start the recurrent selection. As you guys mentioned, it was been classified under the population improvement method, because in every season we will be just improving the plant. Okay, so what is the meaning of recurrent? Recurrent itself means repeating, right? Year after year, repeating the selection procedure, right? So this is recurrent selection. With the help of this, you can ultimately improve your population. So it is classified under the population improvement method. So under recurrent selection, there are 4 different types. So one is your simple recurrent selection, and then recurrent selection for GCA, and then recurrent selection for your SCA, and reciprocal recurrent selection. Okay. So who gave the procedure for recurrent selection? Can anyone state the name? Who is the scientist that gave the procedure for the recurrent selection? So the procedure for the recurrent selection, it was given by a scientist named Jenkins. Jenkins gave the procedure. And who coined the term recurrent selection? It was Hull. Okay. So the procedure was given by Jenkins, remember, and then the term was coined by Hull. Okay. So before directly entering into the concept, I told you that recurrent selection is repeating it every year. So selection is been repeating every year. Based on what? Based on okay, Hayes and Garber, they suggested this recurrent selection in maize. Okay, they suggested this recurrent selection in maize. The idea, whatever the entire thing, they suggested we can apply this recurrent selection in maize by Hayes and Garber. So recurrent selection is based on what? How do you select the plant? So superiority, that is nothing but your phenotype, okay, based upon the phenotypic superiority. So based on phenotype, you will just select the plant. You will select this best plant based on phenotype. Okay, you will carry it forward, and again you will select the best plant. You will carry it forward. Okay, so this is the entire idea of a recurrent selection. Okay, select it, forward it, again select it, again forward it. So directly before jumping into the concept, let us understand what do you mean by GCA and SCA, just in a brief manner, because if you get enter into masters, you can get to know it very clearly. But for now, what do you mean by GCA? Can you, what is GCA and what do you mean by SCA? I'm not asking about the definition. I'm just asking what is GCA? What is the abbreviation for it? GCA.
General combining ability.
Yeah, general combining ability. So SCA,
Specific combining ability.
specific combining ability. All right. Okay. So which means if a plant is able to combine with all the plants, then we will say it has good GCA, right? Combining means just to if we cross a plant with all the different types of plants, and with all the different types of plants, if it produce good result or good yield, so we can say it has good GCA. Okay, did you understand this point, guys? This is important. Is it okay if a plant, let us consider A, if it is crossed with a group of plants and the progeny of all these plants are good? Okay, they are performing better. So we can say that the plant A is a general combiner, which means good combiner. right? So if the plant A, if it is been crossed with this group of plants, but it has crossed good only with this one and good only with the last one. So we can say this is the specific combiner. So the only progeny of these particular crosses are good. So which means it has specific combining ability. Is it okay? Did you understand in very brief terms what is general combining ability and what is specific combining ability? Right? Okay. So with this, we will enter into the recurrent selection concept. So the first thing is simple recurrent selection. Okay, the name itself indicates there is nothing to do with the combining ability. There is nothing to do with combining ability in the simple recurrent selection. Just we will be selecting the plants based on superior phenotype or superior character, like somebody told, like character under your interest. So if you are looking for a plant with a good height or a plant with more yield, whatever character you are considering, so based on that you will be selecting it. So ultimately the selection will be based on the phenotype, right? Am I right? The selection will be based on phenotype, right? So, and hence simple recurrent selection is known as extension to or extension of mass selection. So even mass selection is also based on phenotype, and simple recurrent selection is based on phenotype. No combining ability is being tested here, okay? And hence this is known as your extension to mass selection procedure. So when you see the procedure of simple recurrent selection, so let us consider that you have a base population. Okay. The first thing you need to do is you need to select the superior plants among this base population. For example, you have selected 3 superior plants. So the next step is self these plants. Okay. Or some people say that for simple understanding, so you have a base population. All right. So you'll self all the plants. Okay. After selfing, you identify the superior one. So let us consider this is the superior one. This is also superior one, and this is also superior one. And now raise the progeny of these self-food plants. Okay, so first step is self-pollination. Second step is identify the superior phenotypes. So after identifying superior phenotypes, we will just raise the crop from the self-food seed. After raising the crop from the self-food seed, what you need to do is open pollination, that is intermitting in all possible crosses. Just leave them for open pollination. Okay, let them perform open pollination in all the ways. So after open pollination, you need to harvest the seed from all the plants, bulk those seed, and again grow the next base population. So this is your season 1 and this is your season 2. Is it okay? Did you guys understand just these 2 seasons? First from the base population, self all the plants and then select the superior plants. After selecting the superior plants, just grow the seed from those self-food superior plants and then allow them for open pollination. After open pollinating, you just need to harvest the seed from those plants in bulk and then grow it. This will become your next base population. Is it okay? Come on, did you understand this? Is it okay, right? Hello. Okay. So someone replied okay. Right. So season one from the base population, self every plant. Second, select the superior one, and then raise the progeny from the superior ones. After getting to maturity, open pollinate or intermate among themselves, and then harvest the seed in bulk, and then grow those seed. This will form the another base population. So you need to repeat all these steps once again. Okay, this will complete one cycle, one selection, first selection cycle number one. So you need to again self pollinate all the plants, self pollinate, and then select the superior one. Okay, grow their progeny. Again, when they come to maturity, you will perform open pollination or intermating among themselves, and then you will again harvest the seed in the bulk, and you will again grow the seed. So it will again constitute the other base population, right? This will constitute your cycle 2. Is it okay? Okay. So this is the simple recurrent selection where you will just select the plants based upon their superior phenotype or whatever the trait or character that is under your interest, and you will forward them in this manner, right? So first cycle, second cycle, third cycle until you achieve your desired result regarding that trait or that character. You will go on perform the simple recurrent selection, right? Is it okay? So there is no question or testing of combining ability in the simple recurrent selection, and hence it is based upon the phenotype. This is also known as extension of mass selection. Just year after year you will be selecting the superior plants. Ultimately you will be having a population which is always superior, right? You will have more improvement. Is it okay? Did you guys understand the simple recurrent selection?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with this we will now step into recurrent selection which is been tested for your combining ability. Okay, so both GCA and SCA are similar, just the difference is that if you select for GCA it will become the recurrent selection for GCA, and if you select the plant for SCA then it will become the recurrent selection for SCA. Okay, so we will see how it is been performed.
GCA.
So just consider there is a base population, which means there is a population like this. Okay, so among these plants, first select the superior plants, whatever you want. Let us consider these are the superior plants. These 4 plants are superior plants. Okay, you need to self those superior plants. Point number 1. Okay, and you also need to cross these 4 superior plants with a tester. Right, so first thing is, after selecting the superior plants you need to self them, point number 1, and then these plants are also being crossed with your tester. Okay, so one thing is that you have the self seed, and then second thing is that the same plants are being now crossed with your tester. Okay, so the tester, if you want to test for general combining ability, it should be a heterozygous one, heterozygous tester, which means the heterozygous, it has broad genetic base. Okay, so after performing the cross with this tester, what do you have? You will have the progeny, right? Then you need to grow the progeny from these 4 different plants that is being crossed with your tester, and then you need to see which plant's progeny is performing good. For example, we'll designate this as 1, this as 3, this as 2, and then this as 4. So this is the 4th plant progeny, this is the second one, this is the first one, and this is the third. So among them, if I say the progeny of 4, 1 and 3 are performing better. Okay. So if the 4, 1 and 3 are performing better, which similarly indicates that the 4th plant, the first plant and the 3rd plant has good GCA, right? Is it okay? Just remember, if the progeny is performing good, okay, then the plant has good GCA. After getting into masters, you can learn more deep about this GCA concept. But for now, just remember, so select the plants which have good GCA based on their progeny. Okay. Now what you need to do is, you also have the self-seed seed of 4th plant, 1st plant and the 3rd plant, right? So you need to, now we have work from this self-seed seed. Okay. Now you need to grow the plants from these self-seed seeds. Okay. After growing the plants from the self-seed seeds, what you need to do is again go for open pollination or intermating. So after intermating, what you need to do? You need to bulk the seed at last, right? And then you will form a new population which is improved for which character? What are we improving here?
GCA.
Yeah, we are ultimately improving the GCA. The name itself indicates recurrent selection for GCA. So we are here improving the GCA. So again, same method will be repeated. So this is your first cycle. Again, same method will be repeated, which is nothing but you need to self based on superiority. You need to again self them. You also again need to simultaneously cross with the tester. Based upon the progeny, you need to identify the plants with superior GCA, right? And then from the selfed seed, you need to grow the population, allow them for your open pollination or intermating, and then bulk the seed and again grow the next source population, right? So do it until you obtain the desired level of your GCA. Is it okay? Right? I hope you understood about the recurrent selection for GCA. So the recurrent selection for GCA, it was given by a scientist named Jenkins, right? So whatever the tester you use here, that is, it should be heterozygous one, which means it should have a broad genetic base. So the tester should be OPV. What do you call this OPV? Just remember the tester is OPV here. Okay. So what is the full form of OPV?
Open pollinated variety.
Yeah, open pollinated variety means it will have heterogeneous, right? Heterogeneous nature. Am I right? It will be heterozygous and it will also be heterogeneous, and it, as it is been heterogeneous, so it has broad genetic base. Okay. So if you want to estimate GCA, you need to cross with the tester which is heterozygous one, and it should has a broad genetic base, and such tester is your OPV, open pollinated variety. So the system for the recurrent selection of GCA is given by a scientist named Jenkins. Okay. So first thing you need to remember in recurrent selection for GCA is tester is your OPV, which is heterozygous tester, and has the broad genetic base. Okay, so these are the point. And the procedure was given by a scientist named Jenkins. Point number 2. And third important thing is recurrent selection for GCA is effective when the genes are governed by additive gene action. Okay, just do also remember this one. Additive genes. Okay, if it is governed by means of your additive gene action, right? Is it okay, guys? Sir, why it is called half seed selection? No, just don't remember this half seed selection. Now just naming this half seed selection and full seed selection is not in your syllabus and it is beyond the concept. Okay. Just exclude the half seed selection and full seed selection in JRF level. It is not important, and even it will not be discussed in the master's level also. It is not required. Just do not remember. Just to remember very few things. After getting into masters, you can easily know why it is called with different names. First thing is that you are improving the general combining ability here. Point number 1. Point number 2. If you want to increase the general combining ability, you need to cross the plants with a tester which is heterozygous one, also has a broad genetic base. So such plants are your open pollinated varieties. Second thing, the procedure is given for recurrent selection for GCA by Jenkins. The method was given by Jenkins. And third thing, if the genes are governed by your additive gene action, then you can go for recurrent selection for GCA. Is it okay? Hello? Is it okay, guys?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, right. So similar is the procedure for your SCA, except that we are now here improving the specific combining ability, right? So the procedure for this was given by a scientist named Hull. Point number 1. And second thing you need to remember is, so the procedure will be same. From the source population, you will select the best one, you will self them, and you will also simultaneously cross with the tester here, because if you are improving for the combining ability, you need to cross with the tester, right? So whereas in case of this, as we are improving for the specific combining ability, the tester should be your homozygous, or it is the one with the narrow genetic base. Okay, so in case of this, the tester is your inbred. Just remember this, inbred. So after selfing and after simultaneously crossing with your tester, so superior plants that are crossed with your tester, their progeny will be grown. Okay, and now you will identify the which plant is having good SCA based upon this progeny performance. And then from the plants which have good SCA, you will select them, and their self-food seed is been now utilized. Similar to this, you will perform open pollination in all possible ways, and then you will bulk the seed, and next you will constitute the another base population, right? You will repeat the cycle until you get a plant with good, until you will get the plant with what? Good. For which character are you improving here?
Specific combining ability.
Specific combining ability, right? So until you get the specific combining ability, you will go on. Okay. The only thing difference between your recurrent selection for GCA and SCA is, number 1, procedure of GCA was given by Jenkins. This was given by Hull. Number 2, the tester used here is your homozygous narrow genetic base one, which is your inbred. And third important thing is here, if there is non-additive gene action, okay. So what comes under non-additive gene action? If the genes are governed by non-additive gene action, then you will go for recurrent
Dominant,
selection,
dominant
dominant
and
epistasis. Okay. So these will be the repeated questions. Just remember the procedure. Procedure is important to remember because you can calculate the differences between these two. Just wait, I'll tell you the differences between recurrent selection for GCA, recurrent selection for SCA. So first thing, it was given by Jenkins. So who gave for SCA? Hull. And next thing, when coming to tester in case of GCA, how it should be? It should be heterozygous, right? Heterozygous. In case of your SCA, homozygous. So it should have which genetic base here in SCA? In SCA, what should be the genetic base of your tester?
Narrow.
How it should be?
Narrow.
It should have a narrow genetic base. So what is a tester with narrow genetic base and homozygous one? It is your
FP.
no. What do you call that tester? The one with the homozygous and narrow genetic base. It is inbred, right? Inbred. It is your inbred. So here you should have a broad genetic base. So the tester which is heterozygous and broad genetic base, what is the tester called?
Open pollinated variety.
Open pollinated variety. So these are the other difference. And third is that, so when the genes are governed by additive, you will perform which method? Recurrent selection for GCA, okay. And if you want to follow recurrent selection for SCA, what should be the gene action? It should be dominant, or it can also be epistasis. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So what is the last method in recurrent selection?
Reciprocal recurrent.
So here you are improving for GCA, and here you are improving for SCA. In reciprocal, not in recurrent selection for GCA, in recurrent selection for SCA. So what do you expect to improve in reciprocal recurrent selection?
Both populations, sir. Both the source population.
Yeah, both population for both combining abilities, right? Both for GCA as well as SCA. Right? So in reciprocal recurrent selection, do you know who gave the concept of reciprocal recurrent selection? It is an important question.
Comstock, Harbinson, and Harvey.
Comstock and et al., which is your other scientist. So it was given by Comstock. So which means in reciprocal recurrent selection, you will be improving for both the combining abilities, that is your GCA as well as your SCA. Point number 1. Point number 2, it is given by scientist named Comstock. So now tell me, if you want to improve for GCA, so what will be the tester you will be using? Just for GCA, recurrent selection for
Heterozygous and broad genetic base.
Broad genetic base, heterozygous. So for SCA, what it should be?
Inbred.
Inbred, right? So if you want to improve both combinedly, the only thing you need to do is, so for base population A, your tester should be population B. Okay, if you want to improve this for both GCA and SCA, you need to cross the base population A with the base population B. So if you cross the base population B with base population A, you will improve the GCA SCA of base population B. Is it okay? Vice versa. Is it okay, guys? Hello?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. In case of GCA, you will be using only the OPV. In case of your SCA, you will be only using the inbred. But if you want to improve both, just thing is that you need to cross A population with B and then B population with A. Okay. So this is the only thing you need to remember in reciprocal recurrent selection. One, you will be improving both by crossing between them. Point number one. And point number two, it was given by a scientist named Comstock. Okay, and the entire procedure is similar. First thing, the plants in the source population here, you need to self them. So it is being given here self, and then you also need to cross with your B, and then after crossing with your B, you need to evaluate them. That is your progeny test will go on. So the ones which are good from those self-food seeds, will again grow them, and then you will open pollinate. After open pollinate, you will bulk them, and you will form the next source population, right? This source population, it is improved for, so your source population or base population A1, it is improved for what?
Both GCA and SCA.
Yeah, it is improved for your both GC and SCA. So if you apply the whole similar procedure here, just thing is that you will self them and you will cross B with A here. Okay, and then based upon the progeny, you will select the superior plants here. From the self-food seed, you will grow them, and you will again allow them for your intermating or open pollination, and then you will bulk the seed, and you will grow the source population B1. This is also improved for your both GCA and SCA. So you will go on repeating the cycles until you will get a improvement in both GCA and SCA. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the concept of your recurrent selection. Okay. So who gave the concept of reciprocal recurrent selection? Who gave the concept of
Comstock.
reciprocal? Yeah, Comstock. Right. So I told you that if you have additive gene action, for what will you improve? You will improve for GCA, right? So if you have non-additive gene action, you will improve for SCA. So if you have both additive, non-additive, so what will you go for?
Reciprocal.
Yeah, you will go for reciprocal recurrent selection. Okay, so please remember, if you have both additive plus non-additive, you will go for reciprocal recurrent selection. And second thing, most important, you can, it has been asked in other terms, like I'll just say you. So whereas in case of this, so if you have no dominance or if you have incomplete dominance, so you will go for which method? If your genes have no dominance or incomplete dominance.
Simple recurrent selection.
See, in case of
GCA.
simple recurrent selection, na, you need not have any gene action. You just select them based upon your phenotype. So if you have no dominance or incomplete, you will go for GCA. Okay, which is nothing but your additive, right? So here everything is additive, which is there is no dominance. It is additive, right? So if you have dominance, so you will go for, ultimately you will go for SCA. Or if you have over dominance also, you will go for SCA. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. And if you have everything, if you have additive dominance, over dominance, so you will go for reciprocal recurrent selection. Right? So these are the 4 different methods of your recurrent selection, from simple, where we do not estimate for any combining ability, we'll just select it based upon the superior phenotype or character or trait of your interest. When coming to your GCA, this recurrent selection for GCA, you are improving the GCA here. So the tester used is your OPV. And if you are selecting for SCA, the tester used is your inbred. So if you are improving for both GCA and SCA, you need to perform reciprocal recurrent selection. Is it okay? Is it okay, guys? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with this, I'll conclude today's session of plan breeding. And thank you for attending.